All right. Peace, and love to the family out there. Thank you for all those joining us. We have a special one for you guys today, family. My brother Calico, we're joining forces one more time to drop some knowledge, give you guys some insight on certain aspects of things that are happening as we speak in current events and other places. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, interact, and hope you like it. Brother Calico, can you tell everybody where they could find you and who you are?
Yeah, I'm always available. You know, anywhere you can find my brother Taz. You know, it's pretty. I'm pretty sure you can find me. You know what I mean? So that'll be the Al Humber Society. That'll be Crumb TV, and that'll always be the Taz Show. You feel me? This my brother from another mother. So we rocking and rolling.
Peace, brother. Yeah, like he was saying, you could find us both on the Facebook page, Crumb TV. All right. You could also find us on our homepage on Facebook page, the Taz Show. On Instagram, you could find me as well, and at the Taz Show, as well as in YouTube. We're currently in multiple platforms going live. So share the content, family. Share the content. We have a good one for you guys. If you guys want to add me, I'm also on my Facebook profile as Tasmaniac Wolf Operation Wake the Fuck Up. Well, Operation Wake the F Up. Facebook don't like the too many curse words, I guess. But we're gonna go into today with Alan Dershowitz. Forced vaccinations are constitutional, and I have a little video that we're gonna let you guys see first, and we're gonna break down a couple of things on the video. We have a full presentation for you guys. All right. The title is Alan Dershowitz: Forced Vaccination Are Constitutional. All right, and what we're gonna address is a video in which he was being interviewed. He was being interviewed, and his remarks towards certain subjects regarding vaccinations was very they were
Controversial.
yeah controversial. They were heard loud and clear in very different places. Where we wonder, but let's get into the video, and see where it leads us, and you're gonna be surprised. Like we previously said, you guys can find us on all our platforms. You can find us on YouTube, you could find us on Crumb TV, on Instagram, on the Taz Show, on our personal profiles under D Calico and the Taz Show. And obviously, as always, this is brought to you by Crumb TV. So make sure you go to Crumb TV, like, share all the material that you find in there. And with that said, we're gonna start with the video. All right, I already have the video set, so it could start directly where we want to address it. So we could hear the man himself, and we're gonna address as far as who this man is, what is he about, and what is it that he's trying to portray or say. All right, so without further ado, let's listen to this man and see what he's got to say.
Put it very clearly, you have no constitutional right to endanger the public and spread the disease, even if you disagree. You have no right not to be vaccinated. You have no right not to wear a mask. You have no right to open up your business.
Wait, can I stop you?
Yeah.
No right not to be vaccinated, meaning if they decide you have to be vaccinated, we have to be vaccinated?
Absolutely. And if you refuse to be vaccinated, the state has the power to literally take you to a doctor's office and plunge a needle into your arm. If the vaccination
Where is that in the Constitution?
If the vaccination is designed to prevent the spreading disease. If the vaccination is only to prevent a disease that you will get, for example, if there's a disease that will kill you, you have the right to refuse that, but you have no right to refuse to be vaccinated against a contagious disease. Public health, the police power of the Constitution gives the state the power to compel that. And there are cases in the United States Supreme Court. Case that pops into my head, I may have the name wrong, is Jacobson. I think probably I have it right. Check it out. You'll see that there are cases after cases after cases that the public health permits reasonable actions to prevent the spread of communicable diseases. Most of them grow out of tuberculosis cases in the early 20th century, but some are more recent than that. But there's still an issue of whether the governor has the authority to create laws, and that's a matter of state legislation. Yeah.
But you've opened up a whole new area here.
Well, there you have it, folks. Now, from what you heard right there, he just told you that you have no right. You have no right to refuse the vaccination. And probably a lot of people are like, who is this dude? Who is this guy? All right. Now, this this lawyer, one second.
Very clearly, you have no constitutional right to endanger the public and spread the disease.
All right, so his name is Alan Dershowitz. All right, now this lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, he has represented people like Donald Trump, O.J. Simpson, Jeffrey Epstein. All right, now he's very, very famous, you know, so he's well known within the high class community. All right. Now it says right here, Alan Dershowitz is an American lawyer and academic. He's a scholar of the United States constitutional law and criminal law. He also has been described as noted civil libertarian. All right. So what's your input, Brother Calico, on just the video alone, the man saying we have no right to refuse, and if we do refuse, they could literally force us and plunge a needle, you know, into our veins.
See what he's doing ultimately is like is testing our our common sense. You know, he wants to know, can you people read? Do you understand what the Constitution is telling you? Because if you did, you would exercise your rights. You know, people let these policy enforcers and government officials run all over them all the time. So of course, if they think they can shoot you with a real gun down in the road, of course they can shoot you with a needle. You know.
Ooh, I hear you.
So they get beside themselves, you know, and they think that we're still in the 1600s, and they think niggas can't read. You know, they think we're not comprehending a simple constitution, you know, that our ancestors wrote. That's a whole nother discussion.
Facts.
But we all have the ability to understand what they were saying. And,
right.
And our rights are our rights. And this guy is saying that we all can be violated.
Right. Now he made a real intriguing reference to a certain case. He said Jacobson. You know, I had to go out there and look up, you know, what it was that he was referring to, and there was a case that was called Jacobson versus Massachusetts. The man's name is Pastor Jennings Jacobson, and I made sure that I put the word pastor in there because all my religious people out there. I want all my religious people out there to pay real close attention and realize that, you know, it's not it's not going to be stopped just because of your religion, of your point of view, or if you use a religious exemption or anything like that. They're really telling you that, and they made a point to show that this is not something that's gonna help you during this time. So Pastor Jennings Jacobson versus Massachusetts, all right, which was it says Jacobson versus Massachusetts in 1907 US 11 was a United States Supreme Court case in which the court upheld the authority of the states to enforce compulsory vaccination. The court's decisions articulated the view that individual liberty is not obsolete and is subject to police power of the state. All right. Now, this happened all in 1905. The Supreme Court, they supported compulsory vaccination laws. Because during this time it was the smallpox what was happening. All right, so to protect the public health, with the pretense of it's for the greater good of the state, uh, your individual rights pretty much immediately went out the window because of the betterment of the state. Your individual rights, because of due to this case, Jacobson versus Massachusetts, they literally went out the window. Now the state of Massachusetts mandated vaccinations, and what Jacobson did was he refused, so he was fined and actually put in jail. All right, now he appealed it, and the case was went to the Supreme Court, you know, but when he got there, he attempted to invoke his individual constitutional rights under the 14th Amendment, which asserted that no state shall make or enforce any law abridging the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States or deprive any person of life, liberty, property without due process of law. And that's what he invoked. He literally invoked his 14th Amendment individual rights. Are you following me so far, Brother Carico?
Oh, 100. You know what I'm saying? Because what you're doing is showing that we do understand what we're reading. You feel me? The Constitution does make sense, and it did prepare for these situations. And it said that no state shall be able to infringe on our rights. In these situations, it's like our ancestors, history just repeats itself. So they had already done been through so much with these people. They had their minds figured out, and they knew, okay, we'll sign a treaty with y'all and give you a constitution that you can adopt, but we're gonna write it so that it's flawless. The Constitution is flawless, it's perfect, in the sense that it knew they would try this. And it told us in writing to not let it happen, because it don't matter if the state, the feds, it don't matter who says anything that's gonna violate your God-given rights. We have to be fools to let them do it.
Facts. Now, in the case of Jennings Jacobson, like it says right here, it says a Swedish minister refused vaccination during a smallpox epidemic in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Then he refused to pay the $5 fine and took his case to court. Let's remember that $5. I mean, everybody's probably like, damn, $5 back there was a whole lot of money. The money that they were utilizing back then was actually backed by something. Now, this money that we're using, this is not right. This is backed by us, by our hard work and our slave work. That we have to pay it back. Because we got our money from the Rothschild, but that we're not going to get into that right now. But he refused to pay the $5 fine. The court sided with the state, ruling that it could use its police powers to protect the public health. Now, let's see right here. That I believe this is one of the judges that presided over this thing, but it was multiple judges. It says in 1902, faced with an outbreak of smallpox, the Board of Health of the city of Cambridge, Massachusetts, adopted a regulation ordering the vaccination or revaccination of all its inhabitants. Cambridge pastor Henning Jacobson had lived through an era of mandatory vaccines back in his original home of Sweden. And this is the reason why he refused, because he had already went through that at home. And he's like, I ain't going. I'm not going again. You not going? No. I've been through it. He would. That's what pretty much he was doing. But when he invoked his individual rights, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the state and ruled against Jacobson, and literally recognize each state's policy power, which gives the state the authority to enact health laws of every discretion, including quarantine and vaccination laws, to protect the health and safety of its citizens as a whole, not as an individual. All right, not as an individual, because it's all for the greater good of the state. Now, Jacobson voiced his concern about the safety of the vaccine, which was backed by some medical physicians who supported his claim. But the court ruled pretty much against them, and they used the AMA to assert this, in which this article right here, where it says, is mandatory vaccination legal in time of pandemic? This is the AMA, which is the American Medical Association. All right, and this is directly from their website. This is what it states. It says, when determining the legality of a statute enacted to protect public health and safety, the court found it immaterial. All right. And a lot of people might not be aware of what the word immaterial is defined as. So I've made sure that I went and grabbed Merriam-Webster's dictionary definition. So can't nobody contest me with, oh, you just taking it out of context, Taz. That's not how it is. You and Calico got it wrong. No, we going to talk about facts, and we going to talk about what these people are talking and really talking about. And in the word immaterial is defined as of no substantial consequence, unimportant, not consisting of matter, incorporeal, meaning it doesn't matter. Whatever you're talking about, it's irrelevant. All right.
Watch this, brother. It's just like the word immature. Not mature. But see, that word in particular, immaterial. You see the word mater, mater. You feel me? That's the original word for mother.
Fact.
So immater or immaterial, immater means no mother. You feel me?
Facts.
So saying it's immaterial is, pointing out that there's no mother. So that's the epidemic.
Facts. Now, it says the court found it immaterial that a portion of the medical community thought vaccinations worthless or even injurious. So they literally grabbed a portion of the medical community and they said, this part of the medical community, they're unimportant. They don't matter. They're of no substantial consequence. What they're saying doesn't matter. Just like when Dr. Sebi spoke, they charged his ass with practicing medicine without a license. So they try to defame the man. They've been trying to do this for a very, very long time. For a whole bunch of other people. Dr. Africa, he was another one that that he wasn't. He had to make certain added things to his recipes or whatever he was handing out, just so he wouldn't be saying that he had a cure for anything. Otherwise, he'd be sued. He'd be sued. He'd be put in jail. And if he talked too much, you gonna end up like Sebi. Rest in power, Dr. Africa, because he's also moved on to the to his next perception. But moving on, it says, opposing medical theorists and refer to the matter to the board. The state has the right to choose between opposing medical theories and to refer the matter to a board composed of persons residing in an affected location who are qualified to make determinations. The court do not become involved in legislations formed under the state's police power as long as it relates substantially to public health, morals, or safety, and is not a plain, palpable invasion of rights secured by fundamental law. Furthermore, it is immaterial, there go that word again, it is immaterial whether or not the vaccine is actually effective. Let me repeat this one more time, all right? Because for the people in the back that didn't hear it, and I'm going to get into who the fuck is this AMA motherfuckers. But hold on. So it says, and I quote, it is the paramount. No, hold on. Furthermore, it is immaterial whether or not the vaccine is actually effective. What does immaterial mean? Unimportant. It doesn't matter if this vaccine works or not. If the police power decides that you need this vaccine for the better of the state, you gonna take this vaccine. All right. All right. It is immaterial whether or not the vaccine is actually effective, so long as it is the belief, not the fact, it is the belief of state authorities that the mandatory vaccine will promote, not that it will create, but promote common welfare and is reasonable and proper exercise of the police power. It is of paramount necessity that a community have the right to protect itself from an epidemic of disease which threatens the safety of its members. All right? It is immaterial. Remember that word, family. It is immaterial. All right, and I'm gonna post this at the end of the video. I'm gonna make sure I post a link to this article, so you could go to the American Medical Association and you could read this for yourself, so you could see that this is actually something that says. But who is the American Medical Association? Who are they to be making such claims? So let's find out. This is a discussion that they had in the same. Is mandatory vaccination legal of time and pandemic? And it states, it's talking about the 14th Amendment. It says, the 14th Amendment is asserted that no state shall make or enforce any law abridging privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, or deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law. The Supreme Court recognizes a 14th Amendment guarantee of substantive due process that protects U.S. residents against arbitrary legislation actions. This constitutional guarantee requires that the legislation not be reasonable, that legislation not be unreasonable, arbitrary, or capricious, and that it have substantial relation to the legislative objective. Essentially, though, this provision demands only minimal scrutiny or rational review of the enacted legislation. The law need only be rationally related to legitimate government purpose to be declared constitutional. Further, the Supreme Court has recognized each state's police power, which gives the state authority to enact health laws of every description, including quarantine and vaccinations law, to protect its citizens. How's that for a 14th Amendment for you?
Hey, in honor of my brother Crumb. Damn, Gina.
These and like the brother just posted, Nat Turner, life and death is a business. It's a big business. There is money to be made in death.
Yeah, that's Cuzzo.
Facts.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate you watching, big cuz. That's my big cousin.
Facts. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. But there's more, family. So let's continue, all right? But who is this AMA? Who are these people? All right. Now, the AMA is the American Medical Association, organization of American physicians, the objective of which is to promote the science and art of medicine and better of public health. It was founded in Philadelphia in 1847 by 250 delegates representing more than 40 medical societies and 28 colleagues. All right. So, and it's down here, it says the American Medical Association, founded in 1847 and incorporated in 1897, is the largest association of physicians, both MDs and DOs and medical students in the United States. The AM's stated mission is to promote the art and science of medicine and betterment of public health. All right. What do you think so far, brother Calico, in regards about who this AMA supposedly is?
Oh, the American Medical Association.
Right,
Like we always talk about deep state, and we don't even understand what it is when we see it. You feel me? Because like recently with the bill, I think it was that CARES Act. It like Trump just didn't want to go under the guise of FEMA because that's what Obama did. So he got to do it a little different. You know, he he going under the guise of the CDC and all of those types, like you say, the AMA. So when he signed over the power, he's signing over the power for them to run the government. Like the president has no power for the next 6 months. We like 3 months in, and then when that's over, he probably gonna sign them another 6. You feel me? So like it's a power struggle, but you know, he pretty much bending right now. He's selling out like all of them do. You know,
right. Facts.
it was never nothing else to be expected. But yeah, the AMA and all this CDC and FEMA and all that, what I'm seeing is that they are the real, like big pharma and all that is the real deep state. That's what deep state is.
Facts.
And we can finally put a face on it.
Facts. Now, there's a little dark secret to the AMA, and that's what I want us to address today, because there's a couple of people that have made some remarks that that are very interesting. When you look at David Rockefeller, he said all we need is the right major crisis and the nation will accept the new world order. All right. So now I want to talk about how John D. Rockefeller used the AMA to take over Western medicine. All right. And over how the Rockefeller, and the Rockefeller Foundation took over the Western medicine, and we're gonna go into that, with this article where it's called "Down the Rabbit Hole: The Rise of Western Medicine." Now we're not gonna read through it all, but I'm gonna there's certain important parts in the article in order for us to understand the point that we're trying to make. The brother said the order has come down. Remember, Trump said in a briefing, "I got the call." Facts. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of subliminal messages out there that are being put out there. So now this this article, it states it's about the article is being written by what I believe is a veterinarian and of horses, and he was looking into some medicines that deal with with horses, but he came about certain information that was very intriguing to him. All right, so it says it was while I was reading the history, treatment, and disease of the horses, 1880 edition, that I came up a chapter list of medicines used in the treatment of the diseases of the horse. Some of the treatments, like perching and bloodletting, were a bit hard to read, but the medicine of what time was fascinating. Lots of homeopathy preparations, and then some cures like mercury and lead, which were like very frightening. But the one that grabbed my attention was opium. All right. We're going to talk about opium today. All right. And it says it was obtained by making incisions into the unripe capsule of the poppy and scraping the juice which exhales, and drying it in the sun. The best kind of opium is brought to this country in chests from Turkey and India. It is powerful, and it's a powerful antispasmodic, sedative, and stringent. Sedative meaning that it'll calm your ass down, or it might even put you to sleep. and astringent, meaning that this thing ain't playing no games with you. When you drink, when you use it, it's gonna do what they require for it to do if they're gonna do a procedure or something on you. Now it says as an antispasmodic, it enters the colic drink and it is the she actor of the veterinarian in the treatment of lockjaw tetanus. It becomes an excellent tonic because it is a sedative. All right, sedative means that it puts the animal to sleep. All right, it started, and he says it started me thinking about the opioid problem we have currently in the U.S. from heroin and morphine, hydrocortisone, oxycodone, codeine, and fentanyl. Fentanyl. All right. And he goes on to say, so I did a little research of opium. It was cultivated in lower Mesopotamia around the 3400 BC. The Sumerians passed it along to the Assyrians, who passed it to the Egyptians. The opium trade flourished during the reign of Thutmose IV, Akhenaten, and Tutankhamen.
Akhenaten and Tutankhamun. Yeah.
Amen. Oh, Amen. And let's note that the word Amen is at the
because that's what we call King Tut, the first three letters. Then it says Ankh, like the the real solar cross, the Ankh, the key of life, Tut Ankh Amun. That's the whole name of King Tut. And then Akhenaten. Yeah, Akhenaten is who. The only reason he's famous is because he brought monotheism to the world. You feel me? Before then, people were polytheistic and had many gods.
Facts. Okay, that's good. All right. So it says, so I did a little research on opium. It was cultivated in well, we read that already. This trade route included the Phoenicians and Minoans, who brought opium to Greece, Carthage, and Europe. Around 460 BC, Hippocrates, the father of medicine, acknowledged its usefulness as a narcotic and a stymptic in treating internal disease and diseases of women. Opium from Thebes was introduced to China by Arab traders in 400 AD. All right. Now, it says during the 1300s, opium disappeared from Europe for 200 years because the taboo put on it by the Holy Inquisition, who considered anything from the East as being linked to the devil. In 1527, opium is reintroduced into European medical literature as laudanum. It is the Dutch in 1700 that introduced the practice of smoking opium in a pipe to the Chinese. The British East India Company in 1793 establishes a monopoly on the opium trade, and the company imports of opium into China reaches a staggering 2,000 chests per day. In 1803, Frederick Stauner of Germany discovers the active ingredient in opium by dissolving it in acid and then neutralizing it with ammonia. The result is morphine. In 1827, East Merck's company and Darshman in Germany begins the commercial manufacturing of morphine. It would become the dominant manufacturer of morphine, codeine, and cocaine. In 1895, Heinrich Dresser worked for the Bayer Company of Elberfeld, Germany, which finds that diluting morphine with acetals produces a drug without the common morphine side effects. Bayer begins production of diacetylmorphine and coins the name for his new compound, heron.
Whoa. Hey, man, that's the second time that you just knocked me out in the same show. Hey, I swear I'm gonna make some little short little videos that quick, man. You dropping some real jewels right there. So we just showed you who the hell invented heroin. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna say we. I'm
Who's
saying
the drug dealers? Who's the real drug dealers?
man, that's the real inventor of heroin right there. You know
Fact.
what I mean? Just like Ronald Reagan was the the dope man in the 80s. Like we looking at the real heroin man right there. You know, they like to make it look like it came from the Taliban, and you know, Arabs brought that stuff over here.
Now, the next article says, let's go further down the rabbit hole. J.D. Rockefeller. What does he have to do with all this? It says, when I think of Bayer, I think of aspirin, not heroin. I was curious about the use of acetals to reduce heroin. Where did the acetals come from in the late 1800s? Well, just like today, they came from petrochemicals. Keyword petro, all right? Petrochemicals, which then led me to John D. Rockefeller, the oil baron, all right? In the late 1800s, Rockefeller came up with the idea to use coal tar, a petroleum derived to make substances that affect the body and nervous system. This was not a new idea. His father, Old Bill Rockefeller, sold bottles of raw petroleum mixed with a little opium as a cure for cancer. Young Rockefeller just needed a vehicle to extend and capitalize on petroleum derivatives as medicines. The rise of the American Medical Association, the AMA, all right? Now, let's go into it. It says in the early 1900s, there was many types of healing practices in the US and Europe. Chiropractors, naturopathy, midwives, homeopathy, osteopathy, herbal medicines, diets, and steam baths. Western medicines in the late 18th and 19th century was called heroic medicine and included methods as bloodletting, purging, leeching, blistering, mercury, and lead therapy. Through much of history, healers were those who worked with herbs and food and charged little or nothing for their expertise. Brother, these people were literally major drug dealers.
Mm-hmm. For real.
Like seriously. It's like everywhere you look, the brother said this Bayer cat came with the gas for the gas chamber in Nazi Germany. See how everything connects with each other. Everything just somehow, some way is attaching itself, as a puzzle.
Like Boeing, the jets. Boeing was a sponsor for Hitler, as well as Ford. Like all of his trucks were made by Ford. So it's just connecting all the dots.
Facts. But let's move on. So, well, he said right here at the end. It says that it brought about that it was called heroic medicine. So, but what is heroic medicine? Heroic, also referred to as heroic depletion theory, was a therapeutic method advocating for rigorous treatment of bloodletting, purging, and sweating to shock the body back into health after an illness caused by a humoral imbalance. So these people wanted to shock the body. They didn't want to do what naturopathy was doing, which was, it says naturopathy or naturopathic medicine is a form of alternative medicine that employs an array of pseudoscientific practices branded as natural, non-invasive, or promoting self-healing. The ideology and methods of naturopathy are based on vitalism and folk medicine rather than evidence based on medicine. All right. So what the science department was telling us was something completely different, and this was literally labeled as most of us are labeled now, which is a conspiracy theorist or something like that, or you're practicing something, some voodoo or something, and they always gotta demonize stuff. You know what I mean, brother?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Now, it says right here, and if we go right to the middle, it says the American Medical Association (AMA) began in 1847, but it was small, weak organization until John D. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie took on a philanthropic mission to help the AMA, marketing the point when allopathic Western medicine took a huge turn. Since there were many types of doctors and healing methods, Rockefeller wanted to eliminate these competitors, thus ensuring that drugs would be main course of treatment. Capitalists like Rockefeller and Carnegie and others embraced scientific medicine as an ideological weapon in their struggle to formulate a new culture appropriate to and supportive of industrial capitalism. All right. So they wanted to take this and turn it completely around into some type of business. They wanted to take nature's healing processes and turn it into something that they could profit off of. All right.
Mhm.
Now it says Carnegie and Rockefeller used the tax exempt foundation to offer huge grants to medical schools on the proviso that only allopathic curriculum be taught. Curricula in the schools was dismantled to remove herbs and plants and importance of diet and the importance of diets. On the opposite side, Flexner influenced by heightening the importance of laboratory-based research and education. So they started switching everything from one way of nature to their way of their scientific method and what they wanted to be based on, chemical experiments, and they went on with even bigger crazy theories that they implemented. But let's carry on. Uh, it says the rise of allopathic and of allopathic medicine. Before we do that, let's listen to this video that where we have the ancestor, Dr. Africa. It's a video brought to us by Crumb TV. Make sure that you subscribe, like it, like the page. Make sure that you if you like any of the material within it, share it. Share it, comment, and give us your input. You also find us on the Taz Show. All right. As well as you can find us on YouTube as Supreme Shock Etymology. So make sure that you do catch us on all these platforms. Share our material. If you like something, share it. Present it to to your friends and family. If you don't like something, then give us your input of why you disagree. We're willing to listen to everything. There's no such thing as perfection. We're all learning and we all got something to offer to one another. So with that said, let's move on.
Hey, no,
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
no, I was going to touch on what you said, humoral imbalance, because I had never heard of that. And you said because we know the word humor, we think of something being hilarious or funny.
Facts.
But you're able to share the screen right there. The one about
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, the one about right here by Greek medicine. Because when it said a humoral imbalance, come to find out, this is what the four humors of the body are. They're agents of metabolism, right? So the four humors are the metabolic agents of the four elements in the human body. The right balance and the purity of them is essential to maintaining health. The four humors are as following, and with the coinciding element, of earth that they coincide with. The blood coincides with air. The phlegm, which is the mucous membranes and stuff, it coincides with water. And the bile, yellow bile, because they say your stool is very important. The color of it, or even also the phlegm, the color of the mucous membranes can show how healthy a person is. because it said yellow bile means it's connected with fire, and black bile is connected with earth. And I've heard that if it ever comes out black, then you're about to die.
Facts, facts.
But it's in all four of these humors or vital fluids are present in the bloodstream in varying quantities. So blood or the sanguine, that's a way they say blood. Sanguine or a sanguinity would be your bloodline. But blood or the sanguine humor is the red hemoglobin rich portion. The phlegm that we talk a lot of smack about phlegm or whatever, but it should, if you have a amount of, good amounts of water in your body, the phlegm or the phlegmatic humor is present as the clear plasma portion. You feel me? It's like a clear plasma when you're not dehydrated. You know what I'm saying? It won't even get to the point of being green like that. But yellow bile or the choleric humor is present as a slight residue or bilirubin, imparting a slight yellowish tint. You could, these things gonna start to show when people are sick. Just like they say, the black bile or the melancholic humor is present as a brownish, which is normal stool. You want to see a brownish, but they're connecting it all with the black bile, because eventually you're gonna have the black bile, and that means you're dead. You feel me? But the black bile or the melancholic humor is present as a brownish gray sediment with platelets and clotting factors. We flush that all the time. We know what they're talking about, but that's why they say all disease starts in the gut. The digestion, origin, and metabolism of those four humors are, showing how healthy we are. And we have to pay attention to all it. And we have to drink the right amount. We have to get the fresh air for our blood. We need the right good amounts of water for the phlegm in our body to not be overproduced, or too thick or whatever the case may be. We need to get out there and sweat it out so we don't get down to these points of having yellow bile backed up in our system. And, we always want to just make sure it don't turn into the black bile, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, those are the four humors. Something I had never heard of. I just wanted to touch on it because it said a humoral imbalance.
Facts. Appreciate you. That was a great breakdown. It's a whole lot of information right there.
Thank
now,
you.
if we listen to the ancestor and what he's gonna give you a quick description of the difference between allopathic versus naturopathic. So let's listen to what he has to say.
What is the difference between allopathic and naturopathic medicine?
Well, allopathic medicine believes the contrary cures the opposite. That's their motto. They believe in order to make the body healthy, you have to make the body sick. So they will give you something that makes your body sick, such as a drug. And there are more side effects listed for the drugs than positive effects. So if you just do the mathematics, you find out you're in a losing situation because there are more side effects to a drug than positive effects. So they use poisons, and the poisons create poisonous effects, which they call side effects. In naturopathic medicine, which is non-invasive medicine, we use plants such as herbs or supplements such as vitamins and minerals and amino acids. We use things to nourish the body so the body can make its own decision about how it's going to maintain wellness.
So I've been going to my doctor, diabetic doctor, for 20 years now. What do you think of that?
I think that if the doctor was doing his job, you wouldn't be going for 20 years. You should have been finished with him at least a couple of years.
See, I have a better name. See, they call it allopathic, but I would call it psychopathic versus naturopathic. Because it ain't no all or nothing. Nah, I'm gonna take the natural way, naturopathic way, because this ain't allopathic. That means whatever they come up with here you go. Because like they say, it's immaterial whether the vaccine works or not. It's right. About what we believe.
Right.
And I'm tired of that.
Facts. Yeah, facts. Now, continuing on, right here, the last one is the Rockefellers and their pharmaceutical empire. It says, with the AMA and allopathic medical schools firmly in place, the abolition of other medical therapies, and the enforcement of regulated licensing of doctors, the Rockefeller empire continued to expand. Stellering Drug Inc., the largest holding company in the Rockefeller's drug empire, and its 68 subsidiaries were maintained under an umbrella with the Rockefeller-owned bank Chase Manhattan, now known as J.P. Morgan Chase and called the Drug Trust. We cannot forget that the pharmaceutical empire of the Rockefellers included vaccines, sedatives, analgesics, antibiotics, hard drugs, and hypnotics. Under the director of the Rockefeller Foundation, funds to medical colleges in 1948 alone swelled to $32 million, which in today's money would amount to $323 million. This ensures that the medical schools would teach and indoctrinate the name and uses of thousands of drugs. In 1930, John D. Rockefeller campaigned for the prohibition of hemp and cannabis through generous political and Baptist church donations. Hemp could be produced could produce ethanol, which competed with petroleum, and cannabis was competitor to opium, with the Rockefeller-owned member of an opium cartel, Bayer, creators of heroin. These people, this Rockefeller Foundation, it appears that they were seriously in search of making the most out of our sickness, literally making the most out of our sickness. So let's continue. These people are the ones that are running our pharmacies. And for anybody that has not been out there and researched, because let's not forget one thing, all right? Let's not forget one thing, that definitions change throughout the process of time.
Yeah,
all right? What means something today,
but etymon stay the same.
right? But the etymon always stays the same, all right? Always stays the same. You know, and that's why we're always gonna have to deal with etymology. All right. And if you want the best that you could get in regards to etymologies of words and breakdowns, please make sure that you subscribe to YouTube on Supreme Shock Out of Etymology, and you'll find a whole bunch of our work that we have put in there. All right. Now, if we look into the word pharmacy, all right, into the word pharmacy and its etymon or its etymology, it states in medicine from Old French pharmacy or purgative, from medieval Latin pharmacia, from Greek pharmakia, use of drugs, medicines, potions, or spells, poisoning, witchcraft, remedy, the cure. From pharmakios, from pharmakes, preparer of drugs, poisoner, sorcerer, from pharmakon, drug, poison, filter, charm, spell, enchantment. I mean, am I reading a definition of a magician? Of or of a health provider of some sort. I mean, it states also, it says meaning on the use of administration of drugs. It's attested from the 1400s, C 1400s, that of place where drugs are prepared and dispensed. All right. Now, when you look at the Greek and pharmakon, it says drug, poison, filter, charm, spell. Those are what? So these people are literally enchanting us and casting spells upon us with these potions.
The main word up there that they're doing is poison. They're poisoning us.
Facts.
You know, they're poisoners. You feel me? In a sense, they're using sorcery because, you know, they have all these medical terms that engulf the minds of the layman. Like, you know, those medical terms don't mean a damn thing. Pay attention to those side effects and decide if you want to feel like that. You know, we always worrying about the cure. Do you want to feel those side effects?
Correct. Right. Let's continue. So these Rockefellers, they literally took over the AMA and forced their way into the educational system. All right, and they into the pharmaceutical system, and they began to only provide certain drugs instead of the correct ones. They will give you something that either will give you more adverse reactions, so that way, yeah, they cure you for something, but they already know that 5, 10 years from now, that cure that they gave you for whatever it was is going to cost something else on you, and you're going to have to come back and buy something else. And on the today's pretense is going to be, you better have insurance or you going to come out your pockets.
Mm-hmm.
you know so these Rockefellers literally got themselves all into our system and of medicine, and it's been used against us. uh, he is literally funding what is being used against us. And what I don't want the family to forget is that there was a time when the Supreme Court Justice Holmes, all right, um, this dude right here, all right. There was a time when he cited the Jacobson versus Massachusetts to forcefully sterilize Carrie Buck, who was the first person known to be sterilized under the state law in Virginia in 1927, which was a eugenics law, which it included sterilizing anyone who was feeble-minded or an imbecile or even an epileptic. Now the question is, who decided which people got placed under this label of feeble-minded or imbeciles? Now this was all part of a eugenics movement that we're gonna get into right now. But this man right here, literally, just like we have certain people right now, like the person in the beginning of the video, his name was, what was his name? Dershowitz or something.
His name was
Dershowitz.
Dershowitz, right?
Right. Just like we have this idiot telling us, that we have no right to reject no vaccine, and he even told you that it's been used to, we've done this before, so you ain't gonna get away with this one, all right?
Hey,
So when we look at this dude, all right, Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes. It says he was an American jurist who served as an associate justice of the Supreme Court of the United States from 1902 to 1932, and as acting Chief Justice of the United States in January through February in 1930. All right. Now, there's a couple of quotes that this man made. He says, "I like to pay my taxes. With them, I could buy civilization." What? Wait, what?
exactly.
You like to pay your taxes so with that you could buy civilization? So you're paying somebody. So you're paying off the government. And you're being blatant about it. All right.
Yep.
And he even had the audacity to come up with a book, Justice Holmes, Natural Law and the Supreme Court. How could you be towards natural law when you're enforcing man-made law?
Mm-hmm.
You can't be on both ends. All right. Now, it says going to the court by 1927, the U.S. Supreme Court had accepted the processive belief that the state out to be the empowered to determine who should or should not be permitted to reproduce. Oliver Wendell Holmes, the court's progressive icon, wrote in the 1915 that his starting point of an ideal of the law will be the coordinated human effort to build a race. Wait, This dude sounds like Hitler. He trying to build the race. But all right, but let's not forget, like I mentioned, that he cited Jacobson versus Massachusetts, to forcefully sterilize Carrie Buck, who was the first person known to be sterilized under the state law in Virginia in 1927. All right, that's this chick right here, right? The one on the right, that's her mama. All right, and they did this under the pretense that she was an imbecile or a moron. All right. And this was all done through a eugenics program, that they had all over the place, in which they had this type of things in the streets everywhere. It says the light flashes every 48 seconds. Every 48 seconds, a person is born in the United States who will never grow up mentally beyond that state of a normal 8-year-old boy or girl.
Minorities.
Right. The light flashes every 50 seconds. Every 50 seconds, a person is committed to jail in the United States. Very few normal persons ever go to jail. What? Wait. So, very few normal persons ever go to jail. All right. And the light flashes every 50 seconds for every time it happens within the United States. This one says the light flashes every 15 seconds. Every 15 seconds, $100 of your money goes to the care of a person with bad hereditary, such as the insane, feeble-minded, criminals, and other defectives. Other defectives? Are we talking about people here, or are we talking about property or some second class humans or something? It says the light flashes every 16 seconds. Every 16 seconds, a person is born in the United States. Every 7.5 minutes, a high grade person is born. Every 7.5 minutes, a high grade person is born in the United States who have the ability to do creative work and be fit for leadership. About 4% of the Americans come within this class. Only 4% of 100% under the eugenics program that was being enforced by Supreme Court Justice Holmes, dude, right here. All right, only 4% out of 100% of the population of the United States. Everybody else had a very good chance of being feeble-minded. All right. So, what we didn't understand was the fact that, yeah, they went and started this off, but the ones that they came and started attacking based on all the people that lived in different states, it was colored people. They were coming after Latinos and blacks all at once. All at once. Whatever was the majority of minorities that was within a state, that's what they were going after. And that's why I was asking, who gets to decide, who's feeble-minded or imbeciles or morons or whatever. And all the statistics showed that as soon as this law was implemented, and it was cited by this Supreme Court Justice Holmes, dude, as soon as this happened, the statistics started rising of the people that were being sterilized, because that's what they did to her. They labeled her a moron. All right, they labeled her a moron under a eugenics program. And when they labeled her a moron, that allowed once nobody said nothing about it, because they probably said, yeah, she probably was a moron. And this was allowed. It was pushed upon other people. And like I said, it was part of a eugenics program who believed only the strong survive. All right, and that science had the right and the power to help Mother Nature choose these beings who should not be allowed to walk the earth for the betterment of the world, because it has to be for the betterment of society. It's always that. Now, Carrie lived with a foster family. This chick right here, that's her mama right there. But she was separated from her, so she lived with a foster family till she became pregnant. and the foster family had her institutionalized. All right. Now, what they don't mention you in the story is that Carrie was raped by someone in the foster family, and they didn't want this to get out, so they took her and called her, a feeble-minded, a moron, and once after her child was born, she was never, after she gave birth, she was given immediately an intelligence test. This was while she was institutionalized, and she was institutionalized in a place called Virginia State Colony for epileptics and feeble-minded people. All right. Now, these feeble-minded people, were considered, unable to take care of themselves or others. All right. So this is where they stuck her at, and upon her giving birth, they gave her like pretty much like an IQ test type, an intelligence test, and it was determined that she was just a moron under categories or steps that they had,
Yeah.
and they had either, you were either considered an idiot or a low grade imbecile, a medium imbecile, a high grade imbecile, or even a complete moron. All right. And this was all through a eugenics program. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Exactly. See, that's something. See, that's a phrase. That's a phrase. That's a phrase that I use lately. I say, you know, they practice eugenics, but us Moors, we practice hygienics. You
Huh.
feel me? Like, the European wasn't even taking a bath.
Right.
You feel me? We just taught them hygienics. And now as soon as they think they, all clean and fresh, smelling their ass, now they want to practice eugenics. And like, as you can see, I was about to show the people who we really dealing with when we saying like guys like Alan Dershowitz. You know, you see the other screen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's up there.
All right, they like to say born in Brooklyn or whatever, but he could have easily been conceived, across seas because his family is Polish. As it says, he's a Ashkenazi Jew. Like if these ain't the most hellified people, like who is? You feel me? They're Jews, but they're Nazi. You feel me? The Ashkenazi is Jew. His family's Polish and all of that, like we were just saying, and they even got his I guess sort of like a DNA test. How they say he's 98.5 Ashkenazi. You know, and like really nothing else. They're just letting you know he is a pure Jew and Ashkenazi Jew. And this the same guy who said they have the right to plunge a needle in our arm.
Facts.
For real.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, with these people, they've been around for a while. They've had different people in control and put in place, so they could advocate this stupidity and this idiocy, like the brother said, Bill Gates, he said Bill Gates' daddy was in full partnership for this eugenics program. I believe so. I wouldn't even doubt it because his daddy was into all types of crazy. Even he was also involved, if I'm not mistaken, in Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, which is eugenics.
Right, right, exactly. So through this,
The Daughters of the American Revolution is who started that. The DAR, the Daughters of the American Revolution, is the female version of the KKK. That's the female side of it. Yeah, and that's I forget her name right this second, but Hillary Clinton looks up to her immensely. You know, And this lady is who invented eugenics as we know it, as far as Planned Parenthood goes, because eugenics already had existed and she was just practicing it. And they formed like how people form organizations like NAACP. Well, they formed the Planned Parenthood, and that's why abortions is the #1 killer of black people in the world. I mean, more than the bullet, cancer, everything combined. Like, we dying before we even born. Like, the abortion rate is ridiculous, and that's why I like certain things, that Trump is doing, because he wants to pretty much not ban abortions, but he wants to make it where a woman really can only get it once in her life. You know what I mean? And it's really, of course, they can get it if they get raped or something. But other than that, ain't no back and forth aborting these babies. And you know what I mean? Like, they just killing off our people more than anybody.
Right.
So yeah.
Now, to continue this right here, the fact that that we've kept quiet in regards to certain things, and this goes back to the original video at the beginning, that shows us how many times they've done this to us, and they've attempted to us, and by now, right now, ignoring this idiot, what's his name, Dershowitz, yeah, Alan Dershowitz, by his statement saying, and him being such a big time within, the high community, it's very, very serious for us to hear such a thing, as he's stating, because there is a lot of stuff that he's claiming that could really hurt him. According to what we're seeing, they've done it before. So, where were we? Because of this thing that happened to this lady, Carrie Buck, and nobody said nothing. Nobody fought. Nobody did anything. They took advantage and they started using it against us. Mainly us, all right? And they locked this lady up and everything. They made her look like a complete imbecile. They came after us, all right? Now, when you look at the history of the eugenics program, California's eugenics sterilization program disproportionately targeted Latinos, especially Latina women who have 59% high risk of forced sterilization, women of many race and ethical backgrounds. New research shows that this is California. All right. Now in Mississippi, eugenics practice in Mississippi initially sought to safeguard post puberty of the white through control of mentally degenerate whites, but in the mid 20th century became a justification for a sterilization of economically disadvantaged black women. So they went after their feeble-mindeds within them, and then they came after our women. In Mississippi, that was called the Mississippi appendectomy, the Mississippi appendectomy, which was a practice that provided involuntary sterilization to poor black women who were deemed unfit to reproduce. Who deemed them unfit, brother? That's what I want to do. I want to know who deemed them unfit. Who made that decision? And they used this Buck versus Bell to instill all this, use all these laws to just completely hand it to us. Now, this also created a new trend within our communities. Not only the white community, but also within the black community. All right. And it was called the better baby contest. All right. And this was also part of the eugenics program, which included parts where you had to have a certain kind of child, a child that was not, probably too super active, or probably a child that was obedient, that had nice features, probably, a specific kind of hair or anything like that. But this better baby contests were one way that the eugenics movement became an ordinary part of American life. The NAACP organized such contests for black families in the 1920s and the 1930s. Proceeds from the contests were used to combat lynching. Better Baby contest at the end of State Fair in 1931. And I have a couple of pictures right here, of different places of where it happened, and they were literally making us go have a contest based on looks, based on how somebody looked, and oh, your baby ugly, your baby a moron, oh, your baby a feeble-minded. I mean, these were children, and these eugenics programs literally were screwing with our minds to show us these new ways or these new trends that they were using, this thought of, you had to have certain characteristics for you to be able to fit in to the common people, and there was even an agency, all right. You keep hearing eugenics. What was eugenics? Eugenics was the study of how to arrange reproduction within a human population to increase the occurrence of heritable characteristics regarded as desirable, developed largely by the Francis Galton as the method of improving the human race. It fell into disfavor only after the perversion of its doctrine by the Nazis. That's the only time that it lost, when the Nazis accepted it, all right? And I'm going to go into that in a few seconds. When the Nazis accepted it, that's when nobody, because Hitler cited this case that nobody spoke about and led to this. When this dude, Oliver Holmes, Supreme Justice Oliver Holmes, cited the Carrie Buck case as feeble-minded, and he literally nailed her to the wall that, we started getting sterilized because they did it to her first, and since nobody spoke up, they just used the law against us. And then the rates, the amount of people sterilized within the colored community started going up. All right, Virginia is the Virginia State Colony is where they put her. All right, based on this imbecile or moron or high grade imbecile, depending on this intelligence that they gave us. Because of that, our people started suffering all over the place. Women everywhere were coming up talking about they can't have babies. How? Nothing ever happened, and all they had was a simple procedure done. But it turns out that during that simple procedure, and they were asleep, they did something else and sterilized them. All right. Then they started having these baby programs to get us better acquainted with this new norm of accepting people based on looks, and that led to the eugenics. All right, which the Nazis later accepted. All right, but it also led to the Tuskegee syphilis experiments. All right, that devastated, the people in the African community in Tuskegee. It says the Tuskegee study of unrated syphilis in African American male was a clinical study conducted between 1932 and 1972 by the United States Public Health Service. All right. The Washington Star News published an article exposing the United States Public Health Service PHP for a 40-year experiment conducted at Tuskegee Institute that examined the effects of untreated syphilis in black men. All right, and they started abusing this law through the eugenics program, and it led to the Tuskegee experiment. And the Tuskegee experiments led to the Guatemalan syphilis experiments. The Guatemalan syphilis experiments is the syphilis experiment in Guatemala, where the United States led human experiments conducted in Guatemala from 1946 to 1948. The experiments were led by physician John Charles Cutler, who also participated in the late stages of the Tuskegee syphilis experiments. The same people that were doing experiments on the black community were the same people that were doing experiments on the people in Central America and Guatemala. They were always making sure that they kept us at bay, that they kept us sick and not with each other. All right. And because of that silence, that led to Mr. Adolf Hitler, who, when he noticed that this was going on within the United States, he used the eugenics and he cited Buck and Vell, the case of Buck versus Vell. And when he cited that, he sterilized millions of people based on this law that was accepted by the United States. And when he did that, that's when it stopped in the United States. It says the significance and international fame of Buck even led an infamous Nazi war criminal to cite it in his defense at the Nuremberg military tribunals. Buck versus Bell was considered a valid and powerful legal precedent for those who supported eugenics, which was one of them, Hitler. And now it's being practiced with us again. All right? It's being practiced with us again. And if we don't come together and say something, we're going to come to find out that they will try to come and force vaccinate us, just like Dude said. And we have to come to realize that these people don't care about us. They do not care about us. They never have. They never will. And there is many, many that have suffered at the hands of these people in the past. Because let's not forget that history repeats itself. Don't it, Brother Calico? History always repeats itself, one way or another. So
that for sure.
You know, you got anything to say? We let the Philippine go, Brother Calico?
I'm gonna finish by saying y'all already know it's gonna be a part 2, because you know what I'm saying, and a part 3 and everything else, because they won't stop, so you know we can't. You know what I mean? Like, hey, this is just the tip of the iceberg, and I'm sure not many people can say they know the ins and out of that, like just got presented.
Right, right. So we appreciate you, Brother Calico, once again. You know, make sure that you like, share, subscribe, and comment. You know, if you get to see this later on, you know, just remember these people don't care about us, and they're gonna continue to come at us. You try with this vaccine. All right. So you remember that you could find us all, you know, under the YouTube Supreme Shock Etymology. You could also find us on Facebook under Crumb TV. You can find us also on Facebook under the Taz Show. All right. We have Facebooks as well, where you can find Brother Calico under D Calico. You can find me under my Facebook under Tasmaniac Wolf Operation Wake the Fuck Up. Also on Instagram at the Taz Show, and last but not least at the Taz Show and YouTube as well. So thank you, and I appreciate you guys for watching, whether it's right now or later on. But I appreciate you, and we'll leave you the same way that we came. In peace.
Peace.